Hello, it's Courtney with balancewithcourtney.com. I am passionate about helping others discover their happy and inspire them to make it a daily habit. My intention is to hack happy by interviewing experts to share their story and inspire others to create a happy movement. Today's happy expert is JC. JC is a co-founder of MAIA Life Method, Life Lessons for Soul Serenity. Through simple techniques, skills, and strategies to help shift people's outlook on life, the MAIA Life Method incorporates ancient wisdom for modern-day living. The MAIA mission is to help others transcend heavy living into joyful living that lights them up with love, purpose, meaning, and serenity. As life can be, JC arrived at her aha moment only after she was whisked away in the mysterious maze in the labyrinth of life. Yep, you guessed it. Her path was long and a windy one. Despite outward appearances, she struggled with body image issues, depression, anxiety, and divorce. The accumulation of all these events resulted in revisiting her values and purpose in life. Thus, her spiritual journey began. Welcome, JC.
Hi, thank you for having me.
What an inspiring introduction there.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it really resonated when you said, the path was a long and windy one, as many of our paths are. Because, at times it can be so overwhelming and so challenging. And I was only able to grow from that once I got to my, deep, dark night of the soul.
Yes.
And so, that's kind of a little nugget of how I found my happy. But is there anything in particular that you'd like me to share or focus on?
Well, before we start, I wanted to address something you just said that I find so important to let people know. I think we follow our easy, right? So if things are going easy, we think it's right. But when you are doing that deep dive and discovering who you are and what you're meant to do in this world, there's nothing easy about it.
No, definitely not. I mean, a lot of times what's easy is not necessarily what our calling is. We think it might be easy in the form of, this is what society expects me to do, and I'm following the path that I am, expected to and should. And we think that it might make us happy, and I'm using that like in quotes because that's different than what lights up our soul and what our true calling and purpose is. And when you go down the path that doesn't align with that, it's inevitable that the superficial, quote unquote, external happiness you have in your life no longer fulfills you and lights you up, and you start to go down the path of things feeling heavy and difficult. And that's when the stress and the overwhelm and the, again, to use quotes, negative emotions start to feel heavy.
Yes.
And then we start to look for things slowly after we hit like the deepest, heaviest part of our life, that we can transmute it into what lights us up and what brings us joy. And it has to start with small things, because we, at that point where we don't know what our purpose is and why we exist, we have to start igniting that spark again as to what lights us up, such as like, the fire behind me, or the way anything in nature starts from like the bud of a flower. It all has to start with something small. And just by asking yourself certain questions and thinking of things a certain way, it can start you to reframe life. And ultimately, what now makes you happy, like capital H happy, is so much more profound because it's wrapped up with joy and bliss and serenity, and your soul is just recharged. And so that's essentially, what led me to what I'm doing now, which is having other people look at their life in different ways and different perspectives and subtly shift their outlook in a way that leaves their soul more serene. And that includes being happy. And I had to find what worked for me to find my happy in order to share that with others. And, and that's why I kind of hesitate to where to begin, because I could be here for days with all the twists and turns and ups and downs and adversity and challenges I've overcome. But at the end of the day, what I just shared is what's gotten me to my happy, is going with the flow, embracing the good, embracing the uncomfortable and the quote unquote bad, because from that is where we begin to grow. And if you're going through something difficult and in the process of transmuting it, a lot of times, right, when we've mastered that lesson or accomplished it, the new one presents itself. And instead of looking at that as, woe is me, why is this happening to me, we can look at it as the next level of growth. And what lesson is there for me to reap from this new challenge or opportunity or that adversity? Because that's all life is. It's just one opportunity to grow after another. And once you embrace that, and, some people don't have to go to the really deep, heavy place to find that. And that's amazing. But some of us do. And for those of us that do, I've overcome suicidal ideations and just, depression and anxiety and the weight of the world on my shoulders at times where I don't know what my purpose is. And if you're there, you're not alone.
Right.
It's part of, the hero's journey and finding our bliss. And it's just, I'm not sure as to what works for everyone. I can only share what works for me and kind of shine that light for other people to plant a seed of soul serenity and see what it feels like and build on it. So thank you.
Yes. And you beautifully went into my first question. So we're already in the midst of this. But there's so many nuggets that you said that I want to address. And it really is the journey, right? Because I think people look at being happy as the destination. But the happy is the journey. It really is. It's all those many little moments where you are discovering who you are and why you're here on this earth. And you're discovering what made you you and why you are struggling in this world. And all those things, once you discover and embody and accept, you will have for the rest of your life, and you can get through anything. So it's like going through the school of life, really.
Yes. And there is lessons and meaning and signs and messages from the universe coming to us all the time. It's just a matter of being perceptive and being able to discern what was meant for us to see when. I watched Mary Poppins the other week, and I thought it was so profound because she has so many nuggets of wisdom and, ways to shift your perception on life. And once we start to see that in everything around us, it is happiness, and it uplifts us, and it makes us feel lighter, and things don't seem as heavy. And it's part of making peace with the duality that exists in this world.
Right.
So, it's just all beautiful, the happy parts, the sad parts, the gut-wrenching, horrible parts are just as important as the love and joy and happiness, because without one, we wouldn't feel the other, and they just balance each other out like everything in the world. And so once we see that, and I know it's hard, like, trust me, like, I've been there, and in that moment, the most difficult thing to do is just embrace it and feel it and let it flow and let it process and feel however you need to feel, because it's happening the way it's supposed to, when it's supposed to, for a purpose. And we just have to surrender to that. And once we do, we find that that charge with those heavy emotions starts to dissipate, and we become at peace with it. And we just say, okay, this is happening how it's supposed to. And I surrender to that. And then it all kind of starts to fall into place without the angst.
Right.
Because it's going to happen either way, with the angst or without the angst. And the more we practice surrendering and overcoming things without the inner turmoil, it just becomes a beautiful way to live. And yeah, it's just amazing. And I can see that you found that in doing these interviews and starting your company and balance. And it's the same thing. We're all going towards the same message, and we're all looking for that. I call it soul serenity. You call it happy. It's one and the same. And I'm just honored to be a part of this journey with you, and that our paths have crossed in this way, and we're able to spread this message. So again, thank you for what you do.
Yeah. So one of the questions I ask as experts is to define happy. Would you define happy as soul serenity?
I would, most definitely. And that takes me back to the very first question in my undergrad was in psychology. And I remember the first psychology class I took. I actually was a majoring in something else. And after this class, I changed it because it called to me so much. And we were learning how to quantify things in order to research them. And they were looking at, how to quantify things. And so they said, well, name anything. Somebody raise your hand, and the instructor was going to demonstrate how to quantify it. So I raised my hand and I said, happy. How do you quantify happy? Because even way back then, I guess I was probably 21-year-old JC, wanted to know how we get to this. And so I called it happy at one time too. Now I call it soul serenity, but again, it's the same thing. Happy really resonates with people because we know what that feels like, but there's so many adjectives. Right. And they're just labels to try and describe a feeling, an emotion, a calling. There's not words to describe what it is, because language, we're restricted in the English language to 26 letters and I don't know how many syllables and vowels, but you can't capture something that words can't describe. So yes, it's all the same.
Right. And you kept bringing up alignment. And I think that is one thing we all have in common, that we have found our happy, so to speak, or the word that we choose is alignment. It's that feeling inside where you are enough and you are in line with all your desires, everything you want to create.
Yeah, absolutely.
Balance.
Yes. Yes. And what we do at in the MAIA Life Method is we break down alignment in what heart thoughts are versus head thoughts. And so how to align those two. And again, we use all different languages and labels, but we really get into the nooks of what it feels like and how to transmute them, whether they're heart thoughts or head thoughts that are not in alignment, so that they are aligned, and how to make heavy things feel light. And yes, balance, alignment, it's all most definitely part of finding that happiness and serenity.
So people talk about that a lot, your head versus your heart. Can you give the listeners something that they can grasp of how you, because obviously the feeling of happy, the feeling of soul serenity is in the heart. Our head gets us away from that alignment, right? So what is a technique that you use to get out of your head and into your heart?
Absolutely. My number one, and I'm so glad you asked this, my number one go-to is always slow, deliberate breathing. I feel like the power of breath is just so incredible that it can take us back to that place of origin where, the first thing we do when we're coming to this world is take that one big deep breath and fill our lungs and, let out a scream if, the baby's crying. But the same is done in any emotions that we do throughout life. And it always comes back to that breath, whether you're feeling angry. Sometimes people scream, sometimes they scream on the inside, but it's all coming back to breathing. And when we meditate a lot, we try and get those in alignment. It's all using breath to get our head thoughts or lack of head thoughts with what we're feeling in our heart. And sometimes we'll feel like a lump in our throat, and it's all just energy in our head, energy in our heart, energy going up and down our body. You might call it chakras. Everybody labels them different things, but this internal energy that we all come from and return to is tied to our breath. And so whenever, my head is out of control and I'm like, oh, what do I do? How do I feel? Just feeling overwhelmed and kind of, the whirling of anxiety, I just take a really slow, deep breath, close my eyes if I can, if I'm in a place where I just don't look like I'm about to lose my mind. I've gone to a corner of hallways when I used to have an office job and just pretended to be looking at a picture and take slow, deep breaths and try and realign yourself again. And there's a whole other techniques you can do, but that's my number one go-to when I'm, quote, in a pickle or in a pinch, and need to do something quickly. So breathing, yes,
that.
absolutely.
I love that. Yeah, there's not much breath when you're in your head, is there?
No.
Yeah. Oh, love it. So will you give some tips on how you maintain your happy? I'm going to keep referring to it as happy because
Of course.
that is what I do.
Same thing.
How do you maintain it? What are daily habits you do to really keep you aligned?
Another big one that is really transformative and life-changing is to practice gratitude. And I know that it's become somewhat of a mainstream cliche word just to, be grateful, practice gratitude. But what I haven't seen much of is really concrete, practical, easy things to implement into your life on a daily basis to incorporate it. Because just like labeling things certain ways resonates differently for people, practicing gratitude manifests in different forms for people. So I have actually, and it's coincidental that this wasn't planned for the listeners, that I've put together with my partner and wife, Jen, where she's the other co-creator in MAIA Life Method, and the two of us have put together a guide of 7 days of things you can practice to generate gratitude, and it's free. We're actually going to be releasing it very soon here. And so if you're interested in that, try them out. See what resonates as far as gratitude. It can be as simple as thanking someone for something when you thank them. For example, a lot of times, when people think of gratitude, they think, well, I'm thankful. I thank people all the time. And, I thank someone for opening the door, for carrying my groceries, for whatever. But I actually took a laughter wellness clinic last summer. And this was something that I learned from that clinic, is that it's much more meaningful when we thank someone for the specific thing that we're grateful for. For example, if we say, thank you for taking the time to do these Finding Your Happy interviews, which really reminds me of my purpose and why I'm here, and I'm really enjoying your company, Courtney. That feels so much more powerful than thank you, have a good day.
Oh, yes, because I get to know how it makes you feel.
And it makes you, in return, feel that energetic exchange through my words.
Yes.
So your heart is feeling, this is what she's really grateful for. And it's something really simple. Next time you go to thank someone, just add a few more words and let them know what you're grateful for. And it benefits both parties. And the more you do that, the more you exemplify how to embody gratitude in your life. And it inspires others to do it. And then it spreads. And these are the small things we can do to make an impact and change the world. I mean, we all feel like, oh, what can we do to make a difference in the world? But a lot of times it's as simple as just going back to small things like that. And together, that's how we change the world. And again, that's just one little nugget of our 7 days of how to generate gratitude. And it's just simple things that we can share. And so I'm privileged and honored to put this together and share it with people, with Jen, because that's part of our overall mission and how we want to help people find their happy.
Oh, I love it. Gratitude is one of my number one happy habits. So you said it perfectly. Definitely.
All the same.
Yeah, all the same. So say you wake up, and we all have those days where we just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. What is the number one thing you go to get back in alignment and feel your best?
Oh, fun, fun, fun. Okay, so again, coincidentally, and it's not ever a coincidence, by the way, it happens exactly like it needs to. I woke up feeling that way this morning. I usually wake up like at 6, and I'll sweep wherever the fireplace has set out some embers, and I'll start a new fire, and blah, blah, blah. I have my routine. Well, today, I don't know why, I slept until 8. And when I got out of bed, I was kind of groggy and like, it's so cold. There was a surprise snowstorm. Actually, I'll show you a little clip of it here
Well,
before we
tell
get on.
everyone where you are.
Oh, so I live in beautiful Las Vegas, New Mexico, the original Las Vegas, and it is just full of amazing energy and people. And I'm looking at this beautiful view. Now that you brought it up, I'll just
Yes,
take
please.
a quick second here to switch over my camera and show you my view. Oh, okay, so it's a little far, but here we go. I'll walk up here. So we woke up to this today. There's snow, and so we set a fire, and that kind of helped me. I'm trying to flip the camera back now. Okay, as I make my way back. It's amazing technology now. We can just share our lives and be in each other's living rooms. And
I'm sitting in Arizona with 70-degree weather. So
there you go. Yeah, it's beautiful. So I didn't feel good, and I just felt kind of groggy and drugged into the morning, and I knew that I would snap out of it. But Jen and I went to our go-to favorite thing to do to really uplift our energy and get us motivated. And we like to have impromptu dance parties. And so we cranked up some music, and our dogs start barking and getting into it. And so we just kind of danced for a few songs until we're out of breath, took a break, and then we were like, okay, so she's actually condomaring our bedroom closets and cleaning them out. And I set up to get some work done. But yeah, dance party, do something fun that, uplifts your spirit. The power in music and rhythm and everything is amazing. So that's my go-to. And if that doesn't work, laughter. And I don't mean laughter in the form of humor, but like genuine, make you laugh, want to cry laughter. That's amazing as well.
I want to go back to Mary Poppins, because my wife and I just went and saw that as well. And what it really brought home for me is, number one, remembering what we loved to do when we were a kid. We do so much time adulting. It's like bring your child, your inner child out more, especially when you're hurting, especially when you feel heavy, especially when you wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
Yes.
Excuse me. And the other aspect is using your imagination.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, it brought me back to that. And since I watched that, every morning I use my imagination and I visualize. And
it's so fun. Yeah.
Exactly. It just takes that break out of your world, and you go to wherever you want to go. And you are creating when you're there, which is amazing, because you're bringing in that vibration and that love. And it's fun. It's fun. So bring more fun in your life for sure. So anyone that hasn't seen that movie, did you watch the old one or the new one?
I watched the new one.
Yeah. Go watch it.
Yeah.
Go watch it. Oh my gosh, it was so, so good. Oh, those are wonderful. JC, this is so beautiful. Thank you so much. And thank you for showing me the beautiful snow. It's funny that you said that, because I have a friend in Las Vegas, Nevada, and she just texted me a picture. They just got snow.
Oh yeah,
Las
that
Vegas,
whole storm.
Nevada.
Yeah, it moved through. That's not too far. We're only about where I'm at. I'm about 2 hours from the Colorado border. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping my journeys will bring me to you very soon, for sure.
Absolutely, we would love to have you, and continuing to spread the same message. Find your happy.
Oh, wonderful. So before we close today, is there anything else you would like to tell our listeners that may be in that space in their life where they're on their journey and they're trying to find their happy?
Absolutely. I think I said it earlier, but I just want to reiterate the importance of taking time to, number one, breathe. When we get nervous, a lot of times subconsciously we'll hold our breath, and that can have all sorts of physical ailments that can manifest either in the form of headaches or stomach aches, or I tend to clench my jaw when I get stressed. but breathe, be conscious of these things. I do some exercises to loosen my jaw up. And number two, know you are not alone. We are all in this human experience together, going through the same struggles, challenges, and adversity. They may present in different situations that look differently, but we all want to find that place of inner happiness, soul serenity, joy, bliss, and of course, always reach out to myself or Courtney if you need help in any of these areas, and you can find more information about us at MAIALife.com. We are on Instagram and Facebook, and our handle is at the MAIA Life Method. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Courtney. I look forward to seeing where our journeys take us in the future, and hopefully you will come visit in beautiful Las Vegas, New Mexico.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. And please hang on so we can chat after.
Will do. Thanks.
Wonderful.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for taking your time for us and for your growth. I hope you discovered new happy habits to support your happiness. Please reach out with questions, or if you need more support, at Happy Balance Facebook group or balancewithcourtney.com. If you need one-on-one inspiration, I am here to support you with a happy call. Thank you so much, JC.
Thank you.